tonight on Texas News Channel. Longhorns honor Nicky Cumberland.
Even more construction on Guad.
And see how coffee shops worked around the water crisis.
You're watching Texas News Channel.
Your leader for live, local UT coverage.
Good evening. Welcome back to Texas News Channel for Monday, November 5th. I'm Mason Carroll.
And I'm Donya Allen. Thank you for joining us.
So Donya, how was your weekend? So Donya, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good. I had a fun event here on campus that I attended all day on Saturday, and then Sunday was just for resting and studying a lot. How was your weekend?
That's really nice. I totally feel the resting and studying. I rested all day on Sunday, kind of like recovering from the long and sad game on Saturday, but it was really nice to just have a restful and productive weekend. But unfortunately for some students on campus, they did not have the best weekend. UT students came together to honor and say goodbye to a fellow Longhorn. Nicholas Cumberland passed away Tuesday night after spending 4 weeks on life support following a car accident on September 30th. Cumberland was involved in many organizations, including UT Cheer and Texas Cowboys. Hundreds attended the vigil at Gregory Gym Plaza, and there was also a memorial held Saturday afternoon. In honor of Cumberland's memory, a scholarship fund was created, and you can send memories and words of support to fornickyandchloe@yahoo.com or drop off letters of support in the Business Honors Program office.
Religious groups across the country are raising money to help victims and families affected by the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting that killed 11 people and injured 7 others. Here at UT, Greek life organizations came together and raised money to help. If you'd like to help, you can donate through Venmo to @TexasStandsWithPittsburgh.
UT is working towards a more diverse Austin tech world. The university held a 3-day inclusive innovation program. Students from UT, Austin Community College, and other Austinites came together to learn more about building a startup company. Austin is expected to be one of the country's leading city for these types of companies by 2030.
You know, I am so glad this water boil notice is finally over. Not only did we struggle at home, but lots of Austin coffee shops had to choose between finding creative solutions or closing for the entire week.
Because there were boxes of to-go stuff piled everywhere and water shoved in every single corner.
Last week, the city of Austin went under a water boil notice, causing many restaurants to choose between closing their businesses or accommodating to the conditions. Many were forced to close, but some stayed open. One of Bennu Coffee owners says her managers were determined to serve the customer.
I never thought about whether or not we should stay open. I just thought, how are we going to make this happen?
Barista leader at Spider House Cafe, Robert Baldwin, says it was a stressful process.
Even if it's going through the filter, we weren't sure how contaminated it was. You're gambling with potentially making all the customers sick.
These 2 coffee shops were forced to get creative, but their creativity cost them. They estimate spending around $200 for each day of the water boil notice.
They started making up like a creative special and making, printing out menus with what we could do.
So we were like just pulling from these 4-gallon spring water tanks and just redirecting all of the water.
Bennu Coffee even had help from the community. Some coffee lovers offered their propane-fueled crawfish boiling pots.
We couldn't even use regular water to wash our hands. We needed to use all boiled water to wash our hands and wash the dishes entirely in boiled water.
Although there was a lot of added steps, coffee shops were happy they stayed open.
It's a week, and so, our customers take really good care of us. We want to do the same for them. Should something like this ever happen again, we've got our flow jets and we know who to call.
Claudia Jimenez, Texas News Channel.
While UT commuters, good things come to those who can put up with a little construction. You should expect blocked lanes and delays on Guadalupe Street starting today and potentially through next week. The City of Austin says they expect this project to better traffic flow, reduce delays, and create continuous ADA-compliant sidewalks and bike lanes. Construction will happen during the daytime, so the city recommends that you use alternative routes if possible.
We've all seen it. You're in class trying to pay attention to your professor or at the PCL trying to study when suddenly you see someone out of the corner of your eye blowing smoke from a Juul. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention says there are nearly 11 million adults using some type of e-cigarette in the U.S., and 18 to 24-year-olds use them the most. The UT Center for Health Communications is trying to reduce the number of e-cigarette users and educate students on the dangers of juuling.
I mean, the thing that's been really interesting, I think, for me as a person and a person working on that project is the degree to which students and people in general are struggling to make sense of kind of e-cigarettes and juul and all those kinds of things. Like, are they a tool for quitting smoking, or are they a thing that you do that leads to more smoking, or is that like the gateway into traditional tobacco?
Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Coming up on Texas News Channel,
We break down Proposition A.
and get the latest midterm election updates.
Stay tuned.
Have you voted yet? If not, you might want to be careful when selecting candidates at the ballot booth. Some Texas straight ticket voters say the e-slate voting machines are changing their votes. The Texas Secretary of State's office says this is the last time voters in Texas will have to deal with this problem.
Moving forward, this issue that we've seen in a handful of counties isn't even going to be a problem anymore because the legislature in 2017 outlawed straight ticket voting. So that new law will go into effect September 1st of 2020, right before the 2020 election. So as you know, there's not going to be any general elections between now and then. So this is effectively the last general election in which somebody is going to be able to vote a straight party ticket in Texas.
Proposition A, also known as the Affordable Housing Bond, is one of the 11 propositions on the City of Austin's ballot. Lexi Hazlett explores how Austinites feel about the motion.
As you walk through this Army veterans property, you'll find freshly painted shingles, a newly leveled cement base, and a renovated roof. Each restoration is on behalf of the $65 million 2013 Austin Affordable Housing Bond.
But this house is 80 years old just on the old technology. So with the new technology, it should be here another 100 years.
Jonathan Tomko is the principal planner for the city, who describes how voters will decide on $250 million of affordable housing bonds.
If approved, these funds would help acquire land, construct rental housing, and assist homeowners with repairs that are needed to their existing housing.
There's a specific amount of money that goes into creating Proposition A, so we're going to break that down.
That's $100 million in land acquisition, $94 million in rental housing developments, $28 million in a home ownership program, and $28 million for a home repair program, totaling out to $250 million, affecting lower income residents in need of housing repairs. Not everyone is in favor of this bond. Some are so much against it, they're carrying signs as to why you shouldn't vote for any proposition on the ballot.
The foundational issue is people can't afford to pay for this. They've got to figure out a different way to handle the needs of the city. A bond is a bad way to fund a good idea.
Lexi Hazlett, Texas News Channel.
47% of registered Travis County voters turned out during the past 2 weeks of early voting. We went to find out why so many people are showing up to the polls.
Before this year, voter turnout had been historically low in Texas.
I think this election is really exciting for a lot of young people.
Many voters are turning out for the November election, but what's different this year is that these voters are turning out for a midterm election at a presidential election rate.
I believe everybody's interested. I believe everybody's educated right now and excited about this election.
Students say they're showing up at the polls because they want to see a change with their government.
I mean, such a small percentage of people, especially our age, actually end up voting. And so we end up with representatives that do not represent our demographic.
Though most people think of early voting as going in person and waiting in line, there's another way to early vote.
We have early voting by mail and early voting in person.
Travis County Clerk Dana DeBevois says that the turnout the county is showing is higher than normal.
There was pent-up demand. There are a lot of people out there who have said for a long time, give me the chance to vote.
Texas has already surpassed the total number of early voters in the 2014 midterm elections, and we're getting even closer to the 2012 presidential election turnout.
I'm excited to vote in Texas because I feel like this is the first time I'm voting in an election that I have like a big voice in.
And some are even voting just to show others.
It's gaining some social cachet, sort of, to be like, I'm voting, I'm taking an active role in this, because people feel like there's this movement and they want to be a part of, and they want people to know that they're a part of it.
Now it's time for this week's political update. Texas News Channel political analyst Bria Bolden joins us tonight for our last political update before the midterm election.
That's right, Mason. Tomorrow is the last day to vote, and it is also when we're doing our election coverage. And if you haven't voted yet, there are 2 locations here on campus where anyone can cast their ballot. You can go to the PCL or the FAC, and they're open tomorrow for voting. And to vote, you just need to bring your Texas ID. And you can join us tomorrow night for Texas News Channel special election coverage. And we're doing it from 7 to 10 p.m. and we will be live explaining all the races and which ones matter most to Longhorns. So be sure you tune in and catch me and Texas News Channel's other political analysts to keep up with the most important election news.
I am definitely excited about our show tomorrow, and I hope the weather is good for it too. Let's turn to Alaina for our Weather Center update.
Thanks, Mason. Well, Longhorns, I don't know about you, but I am ready for sweater weather. Will we see some cooler temperatures this week? I'll let you know after the break. November has arrived, but instead of chilly weather, we will be experiencing hot and humid conditions at the beginning of the week. Enjoy the sun while it lasts, Longhorns. Today, the high was 81 with a low of 61. Some areas experienced dense fog, which is expected to clear up tomorrow morning. The sun is going to be out and shining Tuesday with a high of 84, and winds coming south will bring the low to 61. On Wednesday, we'll see mostly cloudy skies throughout the day with a high near the mid-70s with light and variable winds. Temperatures will drop to the mid-50s Wednesday night. We may be experiencing some heavy showers Thursday through Friday, but no worries, Longhorns. This weekend will be mostly sunny with temperatures averaging around the mid-60s. Live from the Weather Center, I'm Alaina Brownfield.
Thanks, Alaina.
Mason, you know, I think our sports fans might be a little let down to know that we won't be covering Longhorn sports tonight.
Yeah, hopefully no one minds too much, but this week we're staying focused on the midterm elections, which according to CBS News and YourGov, almost 70% of Americans are saying is just as important as the presidential election.
But don't worry, we still have updates on your entertainment news. Let's head over to Jennifer to see what's new in Hollywood. Jennifer?
Thanks, Donya. Coming up next, we'll talk Demi Lovato's recovery, Trump talking Game of Thrones, and a game creepy crawler that's taking over the internet. We'll be right back with your entertainment news. back to Texas News Channel. Demi Lovato is out of rehab. The pop star was found unresponsive in her home after an opioid overdose over the summer. She spent the last few months in a Chicago live-in treatment center where she focused on her sobriety and mental health. An eyewitness told Entertainment that she looks happy and comfortable. According to ET, she plans to remain in treatment for the rest of the year. Well, here's a little bit of politics in your entertainment news. On Friday, President Trump tweeted a meme of himself copying the famous Game of Thrones line, "Winter is coming," but instead it said, "Sanctions are coming." Trump posted this tweet after the White House announced plans to reimpose sanctions on Iran that were put on pause as a part of the nuclear deal made during Obama's presidency. HBO replied to the tweet saying, How do you say trademark misuse in Dothraki? You might not see tarantulas that often in Austin. In fact, it may be even rare to spot a swimming tarantula. This past weekend, an official at Big Bend Ranch State Park in Presidio, Texas, spotted a tarantula swimming across a pool of water and captured the moment. What did she say? For me, live from the Entertainment Center, I'm Jennifer Gonzales.
Thanks, Jennifer, and thank you for tuning in. If you have any news tips, email us at news@texasstudenttv.com.
Be sure to follow us for news updates throughout the week. You can follow us on Twitter at Texas News TSTV and like us on Facebook. I'm Donya Allen.
And I'm Mason Carroll. Have a great week and be sure to tune in tomorrow from 7 to 10 p.m. for our live election coverage.